Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw. I'm here with Giannis Sorensen, who is the general manager of the Beaumont in London. Now, the Beaumont just happens to be one of our favorite hotels in London. It's a great property. We stayed there in the past. And of course, like many, it's facing some challenges from this coronavirus crisis and the shutdown of pretty much life around the world. So we're going to talk to Giannis about that and more, and the Beaumont itself on Insider Travel Report. Now, Giannis, first of all, how are you doing in London personally? What have you been doing?
Hi, James. Nice to reconnect. I'm well. I'm glad to report that the family and the team as well, everybody's healthy, which I feel is the most important element really these days. But like many of us, I have been at the hotel most days, but obviously also do a lot of work from home. I try to keep quite active, so I'm a vivid Peloton fan, so I have my little bike at home and try to get on it.
And you got it before the rush came, because I hear there's a rush.
I did, but I have to say that my rides are increasing, and it's actually quite fun to keep active. Of course, you know, I have a little rower at home as well, so I try to keep busy. Moreover, it's interesting, but I've been speaking to our chef Ben quite a bit, and I've started to do my own little sourdough starter. And you know, with so many things, once you start to learn a little bit more about a subject, you realize how little you know, and it's fascinating. I've been rather enjoying that.
Well, you better watch it. He may have to make sure you don't try to get into the kitchen again once we open. You know, we'll see.
Oh, you know, I'm everywhere in this hotel. I love it, but I have the experts who are, you know, fabulous in their own little areas. But I'll try to be around, of course. You know.
Let's just go back to how the Beaumont has responded. When did you have to close? I assume you're closed right now.
We are, yes. As a matter of fact, as a hotel or as a hospitality industry, throughout the month of March, there was quite a bit of uncertainty and a lack of guidance from the government as to what the plan will be for a potential shutdown. And as a hotel, we decided, around the middle of the month of March to close the hotel on March 23rd. And so we had time to sort of orderly coordinate the wind down period of the hotel. It's quite a logistical feat to, you know, bring a hotel to a temporary closure. And the team obviously engaged very well with that. And then as it happened, the government actually decided for hotels to be closed from the 23rd of March. So it proved to be the right decision for us to close the hotel.
So you were able to do that in a much more organized fashion. That's great. And sadly, I gather you might have had to furlough some people or not.
Yeah, we were very fortunate in the position that our owner had actually decided prior to the furlough process to be announced to keep all staff on full-time salaries for the foreseeable future right now during this crisis. And obviously, by the time the UK government stepped in and facilitated the furlough process, we have furloughed a larger amount of our teams who are not actively engaged at the hotel at the moment, to benefit from the furlough process. Here in the UK, the furlough process entitles hotels to claim for 80% of people's wages, and our owner is topping up to their full salary, apart from the people who still work with the property, which is around 17 people, most of the executive committee, and obviously our security and engineering teams who are still very actively engaged every day to keep the place safe and looked after.
Well, obviously you actually are in your hotel right now, so they got the lights on at least, right?
Lights on, James, lights on. Yes, we'll never turn off these lights. And it's obviously a very complex building a hotel, and there's lots of systems that we need to review and monitor. And we have some fabulous team members here at the hotel 24 hours a day to look after the building and to keep everything nice and tidy for us all to return hopefully very soon.
Well, actually, that's the next question. I mean, what do you have a projected reopening date for the hotel, or are you still just waiting to see when that might happen?
There is no projected reopening date just now. As a matter of fact, obviously, information comes out almost on a daily basis, but the city of London here in the UK is under lockdown until the 7th right now of May, which is tomorrow, but we expect a further extension of the lockdown tomorrow. So we'll hear from the government tomorrow. And then on Sunday, Boris Johnson will actually lay out a plan to sort of have a step-by-step plan to come back to, I guess, the new normal. And by next week, we expect the Chancellor and the Treasury actually to give new information of an extended period for the furloughing scheme. And especially the hospitality industry, we obviously very much rely on this furloughing scheme to be able to keep everybody employed as the industry will be allowed to reopen, hopefully, a little bit later in the summer, and then gradually ramp up to anywhere close to levels that we enjoyed in 2019. Having said that, I think even the most positive among us know that within the next 6 to 12 months, we're not going to go back to 90% occupancy. And, as ready as we as hotels will be, obviously there's so many different factors that need to play out well for international travel to be happening to London again and people, being out, hitting the road again.
Well, I tell you, if I could get on a flight, I'd be there in a second. So that's you have incredible property, and I've really enjoyed it when we stayed there. It really is an amazing place. Let's talk a little bit. Obviously, this has happened to the entire London hotel market. What is the market like right now? I mean, people are just waiting in place, waiting for this reopening.
I have to say that I'm incredibly proud to be part of this industry, and the industry itself really came together even more than there were before. And there's so many wonderful bodies that represent the hospitality industry. We work very closely with UKH, so the Hospitality for the United Kingdom, and with Kate Nichols, who's leading these efforts and lobbying on behalf of the industry, the government. We have a group of general managers that is in contact every week and even throughout the week to really share practices, exchange information, and prepare the industry for potential future guidelines and new procedures that we'll all need to adopt once we reopen hotels. Moreover, we've been working quite a lot with Hospitality Action, which is a charitable organization to help those in need during this crisis. And lots of hotels have been engaging in a lot of charitable work during these times of closure to give back and to look after the people that are most in need these days.
No, that's great. And I was going to ask you that whether you've been in contact with your colleagues, other general managers about the situation, but you did answer that. Now, how are you working, obviously, here with travel advisors in the U.S., communicating with them? I know I've had a few of your emails that are intended for travel advisors, so they can sort of know when to start selling the hotel. And I suppose they may still be selling it for 2021 at this point as well.
Yeah, we do receive very little inquiries at the moment. I think that people are really actively, dealing with the crisis situation. And it's interesting. It's not so much that I feel we're working with a travel agent advisors. It's more like that there's a deep sense of caring, from the agent community to the providers, to the hotels and businesses, and from us as hospitality professionals towards the advisors. And a lot of the communication that we have at the moment is really the genuine concern and interest that people are well and healthy, and that they're able to also, from their businesses, to be able to go through this very difficult time. And I feel that we're all, very close together these days and try to keep one another updated, compare notes from all over the world, to somehow try to make sense out of this very, difficult situation at the moment. But of course, I mean, the Beaumont, like all hotels I've been speaking to, are very, very flexible when it comes to, amending bookings, postponing bookings, and obviously any upcoming travel. We'll work very closely with the travel agent community to make this work and to be able to restart this wonderful industry.
No, we hope you restart very soon. And ironically, I think, New York here, it's been one of the hotbeds, unfortunately, of this crisis. But your hotel has a sort of unique connection to New York because the story of the hotel. And I'd like to, for those travel advisors who are not as familiar, and we've talked about this in our previous interviews a few years ago, tell the story of what the Beaumont is and who Jimmy Beaumont is.
Yes. So Jimmy actually was a hotelier that lived in New York, and was running the St. Regis during the time of the Prohibition. And during Prohibition, I guess, in some aspects like today, it wasn't much fun to run a hotel. He couldn't really run properly a hotel. And he was very frustrated with the industry and wanted to leave it actually in the end, and was convinced by some very wealthy clients to not leave the hospitality industry, but he received funds to go to London and build the hotel that he always wanted to build and be the general manager of. And so he built the Beaumont in central London in Mayfair, just steps away from Selfridges in the 1920s, and was the general manager here for many decades. Eventually, the hotel fell into the hands of, big hotel corporations, and then it sort of was abandoned as a hotel. Before then, we found the property and restored it to its former glory, and right now, sort of in honor of Jimmy, continue to create a legacy here of the Beaumont.
But
And
he was a real person, right? Or is that just the story?
Well, I believe he was. Some may argue he wasn't, but no, he's really such a strong character for us to hold it all together, and it's a beautiful story, and it's really reminisces with all we do here at the hotel.
Well, it's a wonderful property. It's all kind of Art Deco, and as you can see from the photographs in the background, it's lined with photographs from the 1920s, 1930s. You have restaurants and dining that is echoes, grills that might be in a hotel in New York.
Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing,
The Colony, our restaurant, was actually a restaurant in New York in the 1940s on Madison Avenue. So you'll find throughout the hotel a lot of references to the time Jimmy was a general manager in New York. And we're sort of celebrating New York and hospitality, and of course the 1920s. And we're back in the 20s, aren't we?
Well, we seem to be. Sometimes I wish we were back in the 20s right now. It was, I know who could have foreseen this particular crisis that's hit the world so hard, as well as the travel industry so hard. And we're just trying to get through it, that hopefully we come out the other side in good shape and can proceed on and bring it all back by next year. Any other words of wisdom to our 100,000 travel advisors out there who watch us about what they might be doing now and what you're going to be doing as we look to reopen?
I think it's really the time to look after one another, and we're all in this together. And the relationships that we all have with one another, I think, really come into full play right here. And I think there's so much support being offered all through the world. And one of the things that I'm certain of is that this industry is in the industry of bringing people together. And that industry will always grow, and it will always have a brilliant future. And I think the hospitality industry, even in the past, had to adapt to new normals. And we're very good as an industry to do that. But I've no doubt in my mind that this industry will go from strength to strength moving forward.
Well, definitely. And I certainly look forward to getting back to London and seeing you, or seeing you on the road somewhere. I think the last time I saw you, I don't want to tell, we were at a big nightclub in Vegas for Virtuoso, but that was...
I have no memories of that.
I know. Totally deny anything I said. That's right. No, it's sad. And of course, this year, Virtuoso is going to be virtual. So maybe we'll see you in the virtual universe there.
Absolutely. We'll be there.
Hopefully, I know I was planning to be at the Virtuoso Symposium in March, and of course that all got canceled, and they're going to redo it, we hope, next March, and so that might be the first time. But again, thank you for taking the time to tell us a little bit what's going on at the Beaumont and London hotel market. We really can't wait to get back to it. That might be one of my first trips, is to go to London and Scotland and try to resurrect at least some semblance of normality. Because we all miss the travel, and it's just amazing that we're in this situation. But again, thank you so much, Giannis, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you, James, and thank you for keeping us all connected during these times.
I'm James Schillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.